Hello there. Thanks for joining us. Good evening. Let's begin. Nigeria's fertile middle belt, once celebrated as the nation's food basket, has instead become a grim theater of blood, tears, and unending cycle of violence. For decades, the bloody clashes between farmers and herders defied every political and socio-economic blueprint, outlasting successive administrations since the dawn of the Fourth Republic. From the vanishing grazing roots of the First Republic, swallowed by urbanization, to the fiercely resisted Ruga initiative of the Muhammadu Buhari era, the search for peace remains elusive. Ruga rural grazing area failed. Now, the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration steps into the arena with a contentious new playbook, the new policy dedicated cattle ranch, starting with a 4-state experiment right in the volatile North Central region, including Benue and Plateau State. 2 systems, 1 land, and a crisis that has defined a nation's search for stability. To solve cattle grazing national headache, let's first understand that there are 3 entirely different blueprints. On one hand, there is the communal legacy of grazing reserve. Conceived decades ago as a government-backed sanctuary, these public lands were set aside for nomadic pastoralists. Here, ownership is collective, boundaries are invisible, and multiple herders share natural water and wild grass. It was a system built on free movement. But today, it faces the harsh realities of climate change, population growth, urbanization, and shrinking space. Then came the unrealizable Ruga, rural grazing area. Now, a modern alternative is being pushed by President Tinubu: cattle ranching. This is commercial, intensive, and strictly private. Here, the land is fenced, the animals belong to a single enterprise, and science replaces luck. Instead of wandering for water, infrastructure brings the water to the cows. Instead of wild forage, specialized high-nutrient fodder crops like alfalfa are grown on site. It turns livestock into an industry continued behind closed borders. Like I said, 3 blueprints. 1 relies on public heritage and open mobility. The second depends on land availability. And the third demands private capital and fixed boundaries. Now, can a nation transition from ancient realm of the reserve to failed Ruga plan and now to the fenced efficiency of the ranch? Or is the national headache destined to linger? But this new solution faces a massive wall of resistance in the states where anti-open grazing laws are firstly guarded like sacred texts. The acquisition of land for the federal project is already igniting a political firestorm. Can there ever be a true national consensus on a crisis rooted so deeply in identity, land ownership, and survival? Or is this new play merely another chapter in a history of failed experiments? Tonight, we dissect the geography of anger, the politics of land, and ultimate question: which way forward out of this national headache? Is the new Tinubu's 4-state pilot initiative the long-expected solution? This is Democracy Today Extra on Africa Independent Television, AIT. Our discussion begins shortly after this break. I'm Hadiza Aldu.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, online.
Welcome back. Before diving deep into the historical shift from First Republic grazing route to the failed rural grazing area and the new 4-state pilot initiative, let's serve you with our high utility weekly briefing tracking separate critical political stories across Nigeria political space. And that's on Political Roundup. After this, we will bring to you our voice of the people, that's the Vox Pop, from every people on the streets directly on the issue on Focus tonight. Stay with us after.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on Wednesday presented certificate of return to Senator Ademola Adeleke following his victory in the Osun State governorship election, formally confirming his return for a second term in office. Governor Adeleke and his deputy received their certificates at the INEC's headquarters in Osogbo following their victory at the August 15 Osun governorship election.
I really appreciate you, Mr. President, for making democracy to stay in Nigeria. That's what we want. And I wish you all the best in that 2027 election. I feel the opportunity that all Protestants, please come on together. Let's do what we do.
Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke on Thursday met with President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa. Adeleke arrived at the villa in company of some members of his political team and close aides. Among those who accompanied the governor were Bamidele Salam, representing Ede North, Ede South, Egbedore, and Ejigbo Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives, Senator Larry Oyewumi, Director General of Adeleke Campaign Council, and the council member, Sunday Bisi. Also in the delegation were Osun State Chief of Staff, Akinleye Kazeem, and other officials. The visit comes less than a week after Adeleke secured re-election in the August 15 governorship election in Osun State.
All for the reconciliation. Expand your coast. That is the only way you can give thanks to Osun people. Not the way you sang it or celebrate it. It's the way you act it. Use me as an example. And I got here. God put me here. Where you are today, God put you there. Not the smartness of any of these people. It's just their support.
That's why I'm here to thank Mr. President, the father of the nation, because he fought for this democracy. That is why he allowed free and fair election. And that is the result. That is why I'm here to say thank you for making sure that democracy lives in Nigeria.
The All Progressives Congress APC governorship candidate in the August 15 Osun State governorship election, Bola Oyebamiji, has appealed to residents of the state to remain calm as the party reviews the outcome of the poll. Oyebamiji made the call after meeting with President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa, Abuja, where he said the president emphasized the need for peace following the election. He said the president's message was that the elections should be contested with a peaceful mind, stressing that governance is ultimately about the people. Oyebamiji also urged Governor Ademola Adeleke to caution his supporters against violence, saying that any act of violence would only harm the people of Osun State. He said the APC was still reviewing the election results and would make its position known to the public after completing its assessment.
What Baba said was that The most important thing is to run every election with a peaceful mind. It is important for us that we Nigerians have to know that government is about people, and it's about people, and it's about people. And because it's about people, it is important that we need to be peaceful. And I want to appeal to our people in Osun that they need to be peaceful. For now, the APC is still examining the books, and by the time we spread our sheet, we'll be able to get back to the public and what our own opinion and what decisions we want to take. But the take home is that they should be calm.
Former Imo State Governor and Senator Rochas Okorocha has approached the Federal High Court in Abuja seeking to disqualify Governor Hope Uzodinma from contesting the 2027 Imo West senatorial election. Okorocha in the suit argued that Uzodinma would still be serving as governor when the next Senate is inaugurated, as his current tenure is expected to run until January 14, 2028. According to the affidavit filed alongside the suit, Uzodinma assumed office for his second term on January 15, 2024, and therefore remains constitutionally bound to complete the tenure before seeking another elective office. Okorocha also challenged the process through which Uzodinma emerged as the All Progressives Congress APC senatorial candidate, insisting that he, rather than the governor, won the party's direct primary held on May 18. The former governor is consequently asking the court to declare the publication of Uzodinma's name by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) as an APC candidate unlawful and unconstitutional. He is further seeking an order compelling INEC to recognize and publish his name as a party's legitimate candidate for the Imo West senatorial district election.
President Bola Tinubu's administration is working to cure the headache of farmers' headers clashes by establishing grazing reserves in all the states of the country. Will this initiative solve the problem? I am Amaka Okoro. I'm on the streets of Abuja to seek the views of Nigerians. Let's hear them.
There's no how you can own where you do not belong. You must make sure you go to your origin, where you are from. That is where you can claim ownership of any land you want to. You can't live to your own state and go to another state and be claiming ownership. It's not done. It's not done. So the thing is causing a lot of harm than good to we citizens. We citizens, we are the one fighting ourselves for what does not, we are not even supposed to be fighting for. You have a state, stay in your state, or if you are, there's how do they call it? There's freedom of internship, like a state internship, where you can leave your state to live in another state. But you don't go there to claim ownership, to start causing havoc, causing problem, going about killing people, farmers, and all that. So it's wrong. So it's left for the government to call them to order, or to call the state or the leaders ahead of the state. Those that are leading the state, they should call them to order. They should give them orientation. Most of these Fulanis, they don't even, if you talk to them with English, they will not even understand. So it's left for the leaders to talk to them, those that understand them, to call them to order.
There are some group of individuals that believe that the nation Nigeria belong to them as an ethnic group. Now you can imagine a situation where one or two these elders come to a particular location, settle there, and over time, before you know, they've dominated and they want to begin to contest the ownership of the land. Number one, that is a challenge. And by the time, these children now grow up, talking about the children of these elders now, they don't know the history, they don't know the exodus that has existed over time. And now, because they want to claim legitimacy of this land, definitely there will be issues. And more so that it's about time for the government to begin to give these elders some level of orientation, modern ways of keeping these talks, so that, they don't begin to litter everywhere. If you stay for too long here now, where we are staying at Eagle Square now, you begin to see cow, begin to contest and roaming the streets of Abuja, where the president and the minister is. This is too bad, all right? So, for the government to think by the time they establish whatever they want to do will bring an end may not solve the problem. It is one thing for the president to make a pronouncement. Enforcement is a major challenge. Now, what are the mechanisms on ground to ensure that these things are checkmated and to see that some of these people are brought to book? Now, it will interest you to know that most of the cows you see roaming the street of Abuja are being owned by some of these big shots. They just employ some of these boys to just take them around. So at the end of the day, the same person that you expect to enforce this law are the same person causing this problem. So where are we going from here?
Personally, I have to be very sincere. It will not. It will not. I am from the eastern part of the country. I'm not saying it, I'm not being a tribalist or partial. It will not, in a sense that their cattle area is their private business. It's not a government. They are not paying revenue. So why should my state now give them land? Can they give me land for my own? If, like, for instance, if I rear a dog, can they give me a land to rear a dog in the Sokoto? They can't. So it will end up bringing issue because we have to be very transparent and very holistic in our judgment. I, as a person, I am saying that it will not, because when the president now maybe has 4 years, if he wins, have 4 years to stay. After 4 years, he goes down. Will that system still work? The point is that I'm convinced it's not going to work because it will end up causing more crashes, more killing. You understand me? I cannot give my land. If I'm a government of my state, I cannot give my land for such thing because I know definitely in years to come it will affect my children. In 30 years or 20 years or 40 years to come, it will affect my children, and there will be trouble between my children and the cattle rearers. So we have to look at future. Whatever we are doing today, we have to project our mind to 20 years, 30 years to come. So to me personally, anybody can be free to give his opinion, but my opinion is that it's not going to work. Since the first one by Buhari did not work out, I don't think that no matter how you modernize it or how you coat it to look nice and welcoming, I want to tell you that before God and man, holistically, it's not going to work.
Okay, so what do you think? Now you've heard from them. We await the government's response.
Thank you very much indeed, Amaka Okoro, for us there on the streets of Abuja to take a listen to, the national ranching policy. With me in the studio, let's welcome Professor Yaya Kuta, Presidential Livestock Reforms Implementation Committee. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
We also have Dr. Ndoka Asambe, DG Benue State Bureau of Livestock Development. He's going to join us on Zoom. Meanwhile, we also have in the studio Luca Biniat, Middle Belt activist. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Program. I am the spokesman of the Middle Belt Forum.
Good. What a way. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so we have two gentlemen in the studio, and indeed we have somebody join us on Zoom. Dr. Ndoka Asambe is going to be speaking on the government side. That's the Benue State government, on the government side on the grazing policy. That's the ranching policy. But here in the studio, let's start the conversation with Professor Yaya Kuta, who represents the federal government on this issue. So we are talking about the national ranching policy. How far, how well? Now you're starting with states like Benue State and Plateau, and they are saying it's a big problem already, especially Benue State. All through the week, we had stories coming in from Benue State saying no to the national ranching policy for so many reasons. One, land ownership. Now, they mentioned the case of displaced persons not yet settled, and now federal government is coming with this national ranching policy. How do you intend to carry out this? Having in mind that there's been scores of other farmers' clashes in states like Benue and Plateau State, why are you starting this project with Benue? And why not from states that are really into cattle rearing, like Sokoto, Borno, Zamfara, all of the deep northern states?
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. And I'm not going to shy away from providing information that is available to me. The Minister of Livestock Development would have been in the best position to answer the questions. However, let me give information that many people may not be aware of. The issue of other farmers' conflict is historical, and we're talking about centuries of coexistence between people of two distinct occupational engagement, those who are into crop production and those who are into livestock production, pastoralists per se. However, many governments from our colonial era to the military through the current political democratic dispensation, I've tried to shy away from the issue of addressing these other farmers' conflicts. But we must give kudos to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for taking the bull by the horn. He strategically constituted a committee on livestock reforms and implementation that he chaired himself. He's chairing the committee and made another distinguished Nigerian, Professor Tairu Jega, as his co-chairman. And I had the privilege of serving as the secretary of that committee. And part of the activities that culminated into the unfolding scenario in livestock development in Nigeria is a function of series of previous workshops, reports that were, done. But this reform committee examined all of them and put them into proper perspective on how to address these peculiar issues. And interestingly, it led Mr. President to establish the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development to pay specific attention to this livestock sector. And in order to also give Nigerians opportunity to see what is happening in other parts of the world, during the G20 summit in November 2024, Mr. President invited some of us, including the ministers of livestock, Minister of State Agriculture, Professor Tairu Jega, who is now Presidential Advisor on Livestock Development and Reforms, to go and attend G20 summit in Brazil. And during that period, we had the fortune of visiting some private entities in Brazil, where livestock ranching and production by private entities like JBS was unprecedented. We saw in JBS where they slaughter 1,200 heads of cattle every day. And the turnover of JBS for that year alone was $79 billion from exporting beef.
Okay,
wait, let me land.
Okay.
And the biggest customers were in the United States, China, and other South African American countries. The way they were evacuating beef and meat and chicken from their factories was unbelievable. So we now said Nigerians should take advantage of what we saw and invited JBS to come to Nigeria, and JBS was willing to invest $2.5 billion in the sector so that they open up the space. And in the process, you are talking about value chain in the livestock sector, from feed production. For example, the Benue you are talking about is the largest producer of soybean, and soybean is one of the highest concentration of feed.
All right, Prof, I need to come in because you've quite not answered my question.
Yes.
The question I asked you is, why start with states like Benue and Plateau State, having in mind that these states are states that are already squeezed in terms of land for displaced people and struggling with land ownership. And these are same states that have their bill anti-grazing laws in place. Why not the core northern states? That's my question.
I think the Minister of Livestock Development must have engaged the governors of those states and other stakeholders, because in our experience and the Reform Committee, we have been to states of Plateau, Bauchi, and other states that are involved in livestock production. and we engage all the stakeholders, and they express their willingness to embrace the reforms. So it will be surprising now that these negative signals are coming. But I'm sure if the Minister of Livestock is here, he will attest to the fact that there must have been stakeholders engagement. It mustn't have been top-down approach. It must have been a collective decision to engage those who are beneficiaries of any development policy. So I cannot defend it, and I cannot say what they are talking about. The governor may not be informed.
All right.
The Livestock Development Commissioner or Bureau Director should be in a better position to answer whether if they are not involved or not.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Biniat, you have to hold on just a minute. Let me quickly take the government side of the story. Let's now invite Dr. Ndoka Asambe, DG, Benue State Bureau of Livestock Development. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Prof just said that before the pilot of this national ranching policy, that some states were spoken to, that there was some kind of arrangement and agreement for this to start this policy in Benue and Plateau State, so to speak. What's your take on this, really?
Yeah, that is not the position of things here in Benue. I will speak specifically on what I know. Early this year, sometime around February, we had a request from the National Economic Council to submit a comprehensive livestock development plan. So a document was prepared here and sent to the...
You need to speak a bit louder so we can hear you. You need to speak a bit louder. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I said sometime February this year, a request came from the National Economic Council requesting that the Benue State government forward a livestock development plan. So the document was prepared here and sent to the Secretariat and also forwarded to the Ministry of Livestock Development. The feedback we got was that Benue had comparative advantage in areas of piggery and small ruminants, and who were pitched along these two lines. With respect to the issue of ranching, the state government have not been consulted. Up to this moment that I'm speaking with you, we have not received any official communication from the Federal Ministry of Livestock with respect to establishment of pilot ranches in Benue State. That is the position we are in at the moment. We are not aware of any around pilot ranching in Benue State. I have not been consulted. The governor has not been consulted.
Okay, we are having issues with your signal. We'll come back to you much later to finish your point. But let's come back to the studio to talk to Mr. Lukat Biniat, spokesperson of the Middle Belt Forum. Yes, so please talk to us. What's your concern on this national ranching policy?
Thank you very much, Hadiza, for this opportunity. I'm going to speak the mind of the average person from the Middle Belt. The Middle Belt believes that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu means well, and that he wants to see that peace and stability is restored in all the trouble zones of the Middle Belt. But we are afraid that he's been misguided, he's been misled into taking policy decisions that are antithetical to justice and sustain peaceful coexistence, even as troubled as it is now. Because the new livestock policy, in our own view, is nothing but land grabbing. The utterances of the minister clearly spell that out. In as much as the chairman of the Livestock Development, Sir Professor Kuta, has given us some optimistic hindsight into the value chain of livestock, improved livestock business looks like. What the minister is proposing is far different from what he's saying. Because in the end, he said the new grazing policy will settle and take care of wandering pastoralists. So the main essence of the program is to capture land and resettle wandering Fulani herders. And in our own view, this is totally against the Land Use Act, which is in the Constitution, because some of the extra sections of that has been already been breached. You cannot, for example, take 100,000 hectares of land in Plateau State and allocate for the sake of this business. 100,000 hectares is the equivalent of 1,000 square kilometers. Lagos State is just 3,000 square kilometers. So by the time you take 100,000 square kilometers of land from each of these 5 Middle Belt states, you are totally giving them the land area that is more than Enugu State or even Imo State. And so we believe that the so-called herders-farmer clash, which we know is not real, because as far as we are concerned in the Middle Belt, what is going on is genocide. Just as the professor have said, just a minute. Yes, what was happening before now was a conflict, where cows will stray into your farm, and then you get hold of one, and then, the head of the village will settle it, and then life goes on. But today is invasion, killing, and kidnapping. It's not a clash.
All right. Don't you also think that this is also another way of also settling the other farmers' clashes or attacks? If the federal government is coming to say, okay, let's allocate some land for ranching, let the herders or nomads take their cattle there and settle and avoid the farms. Don't you think it's another way of also avoiding? Oh, a minute, sir. I'll give you your time. A minute, sir. So don't you think that is also a way out of other farmers' clashes?
Okay. Let me tell you, if you have just ordinarily 100 cows,
yes,
and you want to keep them in a place, do you know the kind of space you need? You need at least tens of thousands of hectares, just 100 cows. So for you to settle wandering herders, Fulanis, you need to have the kind of sophistication of the kind of places that you went to see. It is not possible because nomadism is part of their culture. In fact, it's a cultural thing, it's a traditional thing. They even have calendar of movement. So you cannot just capture them and put them in a space and give it to the lands of the people that have been accusing them of eliminating them. Today, in southern Kaduna and part of Niger State, the so-called bandits, which we know as Fulani ethnic militia, have taken over 6,000 square kilometers of land. These are ungovernable spaces.
Okay, before I forget my thoughts. Yes. Because of time, usage. Sir, let me ask this question. Let's talk about the commercial aspect of it. Hold on. Let's talk about the commercial aspect of it. If you're saying these ranches, states should give some space for this federal government ranching project, who is funding this project? Who is in charge? Because this ranching, I understand, is not just about creating space for cattle. It's also having schools, clinics, supermarkets, making somewhat of a community. So who is in charge of this? Is it government funded? Is it going to be funded by the government? Or is it going to be funded by the state or by the cattle rearers?
That's why I say
I'm trying to follow what he said.
Give some clarification.
Yes, sir.
So that we don't conclude based on ignorance and lack of information. From every indication, there is an attempt to dislocate the entire agenda that the minister put forward. There were other states, not Middle Belt states. Adamawa is one of the states. Kaduna State is one of the states. And then you now conclude this Middle Belt. It's not.
No, we are talking about the Middle Belt.
Adamawa is Middle Belt.
No, there is nothing like Middle Belt.
I know you want to tell us this.
There is nothing like Middle Belt
the
in
Middle
Nigeria.
Belt
We have 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria.
It's not in the
Wait, I'm coming.
Okay, hold on.
There are
not backed by law.
Political zones in
that's
Nigeria.
a political arrangement made by the military, which was inherited by
the constitution that is still available
it is not
to
in the
Nigeria.
constitution. The 6 political zones is not in the constitution. And the Middle Belt is a political zone.
It's not.
It's not.
Please, let Prof land.
Let me talk about. I'm not talking about.
Okay,
I'm
fine.
talking about.
Talk.
Look, Madam Adiza, the truth is that from colonial era to First Republic, Sardauna established Mokwa Cattle Ranch. There was Obudu Cattle Ranch. And until recently, some of the facilities in Mokwa Cattle Ranch are still existing, including the comprehensive abattoir established by a German firm. So this issue is a private sector initiative. In Wase, the minister with the governor had gone there to provide the grazing area that was aggrieved that farmers, others can use. The governor of Plateau State told us that the other place. And then in Borno State, Governor Zulu had established 3 model ranches in the 3 geopolitical zones of the state. We witnessed the commissioning of one in January 2025. And that ranch was to rehabilitate all the victims of Boko Haram, whose livestock were dislocated. They settled them in a ranch with all the facilities you mentioned, school, places of worship, clinic and every facility. Even schools, they are there. And that there's a breeding facility there. And here in your neighborhood in Niger State, the former governor had established a ranch and a feedlot and a breeding center already breeding hybrids of cattle in Niger State. Okay. And Niger State is one of the target states of the Brazilian investors. I was one of those who were in the federal government team that welcomed the Brazilian investors in Niger State. Let me tell you, the largest producer of breeding stock for JBS in Brazil, they call him JBJ. He has about 50,000 cattle for breeding only, and he has not less than 500,000 heads of cattle supplying chain in the district. So it's an entire business.
Yes, Prof,
it's not about sentiment or emotion.
Yes, Prof, I'm trying to get it straight. Yes. I'm trying to come to a middle ground for both of you. Yeah. What I'm trying to say, and I think I'm actually trying to help in this area. And that was why I asked who's going to sponsor it, who are those in charge of the cat, who are those in charge of the, how do I put it now? Who will be in charge of these ranches? Are they external? Are they internal? Are they the local cattle rearers? Are there companies, just as you mentioned, from Germany? The one you talked about in Niger State is a state-owned ranch.
No, it's a combination of private sector participation with Niger State government.
In connection with the state. So the state wanted it.
Yes.
In the case of Benue, they are saying they don't want it.
No, he didn't say they don't want it. They are not aware. He said they submitted. He said they submitted. No. And they even if you look at it, they submitted a submission to the Minister of Land.
Hold on a minute, Prof. Prof. He said that the state government has not been consulted.
Yes.
That was what he said. Yeah. That was what Dr. Ondwaka said, that the state government has not been...
So about ranching.
Let me land.
About ranching.
Let me land. Yes, we are talking about ranching. We are talking about ranching. So if the state government has not been consulted, how then would you say they are in agreement to it? Because it's the same state government that is crying out loud to say that they're already squeezed in terms of land. So where would they have this land to hand over to the federal government for this ranching project?
That's what I'm saying. The Minister of Livestock Development has the operational details of its implementation. And I'm sure what the minister railed out was a policy of government, of the federal government, that will address the issue of farmer-herders conflict. And through a shift from the cultural practice of livestock production based on heritage assumptions to profit and business-like component. Even when the Brazilians were talking about investing in Nigeria, the southwest Nigeria has more ecological consistency and advantage for poultry. And then piggery, because I knew when they visited Nigeria first time I was with them, they were desperate to reach Benue on piggery production. or piggy production. So it's like it's not going to be that there is going to. They also understand the sensitivity and the cultural issues in Nigeria.
Okay, so
investors understand.
I would come back to you, Prof, because you still need to tell me who would be in charge of this state, of handling these ranches in this particular state, because that is where there's a disconnect, if you agree with me, in areas of who controls the ranches. I think that's where the disconnect is. I think
it's
that's
the policy pronouncement. The operationalization is going to happen between the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development and the affected states.
Okay. So when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. Yeah. But let's rejoin my guest on Zoom, Dr. Ndaka Samba. You heard what the Prof said about. Can you hear me, please?
Very well, I'm with you.
Okay, you heard the arguments going on between Prof and Mr. Biniat about his concern, Mr. Biniat's concern about ranching in Benue and the Middle Belt in generally. But he's saying it's just a policy statement for now, even though we've been informed that Benue, Plateau, Adamawa, and some other states are going to be pilot states for this ranching project. So you tell us, you told us earlier that the state government has not been consulted about this project. So what's the way forward for you? What do you want the federal government to do now about this policy or project, so to speak?
Well, as a state government, we are looking at it that bringing ranching without the other components that accompany it will be a disaster for our community. Number one, our people have been displaced from their home. We look forward to returning them to their ancestral home. Number two, ranching cannot just come without open grazing prohibition. If you don't prohibit open grazing, you endanger the farmers. So if you are talking of ranching, it must come along with open grazing prohibition. And then, in addition to that, there must be an aspect to activate the animal identification and traceability system, because we need to know the owners of these animals. We need to trace them. There is an advantage that comes with the implementation of animal identification and traceability system. We identify the owners, and we also reduce the issues of cattle rustling. So it is an advantage to the herders, while the prohibition of open grazing is of advantage to the farmers. So these three things must be married together. They must come as one package, so that the herders, their cattle will be protected. We also know the owners, so that those that are causing problems can be identified and be dealt with according to the laws. So this is a full package that must come. You cannot just wake up in a day and start bringing about ranches without these other two components.
Dr. Asambe, but we are talking about two different things entirely. You are talking about open grazing prohibition, which is in place in Benue State already. But what the federal government is saying is the policy on ranching, is the project on ranching, bringing on ranching, where ranches where you have the cattle in a particular location out of the farms.
The idea of identifying Benue as a pilot state.
Not just Benue alone. Not just Benue alone.
Let me discuss Benue before I will extrapolate to other states.
Okay.
As far back as 46 years ago, the Benue state government saw the need for every owner of animal in the state to ranch their animals. As a result of that, the state government established some ranches in the state here. So, how do you pilot a ranch in a state that has already taken care of issue of ranching, that was already established some ranches that were in existence as far back as 43 or 47 years ago?
Yes.
So Benue cannot be part of the piloting. It's no longer a piloting because we already know what a ranch is. There is ranch in place. There we have Cattle Ranch, which is about 13,000 hectares.
Are you worried that the ranching might, split into something else? Is that your worry? that after agreeing to this project, that it might later, kind of give access to cattle rearers into other parts of the state? Is that your worry?
You see, the issue here is the land ownership in this state is a very complex matter that must be dealt with carefully. The land belongs to the people, and the people are already agitated that they have been displaced from their own land. Their government is not making effort to return them to their ancestral land, and they are coming to establish ranches. They are worried. There are agitation.
Okay.
So we are concerned about this agitation.
Okay. Thank you. So the question is, land ownership, according to you, land grabbing. If the misplaced people are yet to return to their ancestral homes or their ancestral land, how then can the state government hand over that same land to the federal government for ranching? Is that what your concerns are?
That's
what exactly
that's
is it?
part of my concern. But let me address something. The federal government, flaunting this issue of grazing reserve, old grazing reserve. The old grazing reserve can no longer function. Why? Because when the Southern marked those grazing reserves, what was the population of Nigeria? Population of Nigeria was just about 57 million people. Nigeria has moved on. Today, one of the grazing reserves in Southern Kaduna is called Laduga. Laduga was originally 32,000 hectares. When Governor El-Rufai came to power, he brought it to 78,000 hectares. And today, Laduga has become one of the biggest security problems in Southern Kaduna. Fulanis from all over, not only Nigeria, always troop there. They are now into farming. In fact, one of the biggest farmers in Kaduna State is a Fulani man that lives in Kaduna. He's a politician. I have been to his farm. They have moved away from the issue of the original purpose of the ranching into farming. And they have taken away community lands. Nobody can access that. Now, when it comes to the legal aspect of it, the Land Use Act clearly said that rural lands do not belong to the governors. It is the local governments that have the right of customary right of occupancy issued to people. And in section 26(1) of the Land Use Act, you cannot even acquire for agricultural purpose more than 500 hectares of land. Even if and it has to be for agricultural purpose anyway. But if it must exceed 5,000, it has to take a lot of work, including that of the governor. So you cannot enter into a state and take, the curiosity is that it is all middle belt areas. And what is the middle belt? In short, for our viewers to understand, the middle belt is made up of all the ethnic nationalities of northern Nigeria that are not Hausa, Fulani, or Kanuri. If you are in the 19 northern state plus FCT and you don't belong to, you are automatically a member of the Middle Belt. I am from Southern Kaduna. I'm the national spokesman of the Middle Belt Forum. Dr. Pogu Bitrus, who is the president of the Middle Belt Forum, is from Chibok. He's from Southern Borno. So the Middle Belt is far, far bigger than the so-called North Central. So Adamawa is part of the Middle Belt. And so all these areas that have been earmarked are areas that are of the Middle Belt. And why is it that where Fulani rulers are ruling, the core north, that are desperately in need of resettlement of these Fulanis, why are they not used as pilot scheme? And that's why we are saying, even though it is even in the abrogation of the Land Use Act, it is a clever way of taking away land, because you are not even interested in the displaced people, the owners of this land. And the professor is not mentioning anything about the wandering Fulanis. What are they going to? How are they going to take care of that?
No, hold on, Prof. You have your time. You have your time. You have your time.
Wait. I take a step.
Let me finish.
Because ethnicizing this kind of conversation.
It's not ethnicizing.
It's not ethnicizing. I thought we were going to talk about addressing.
Can you let him finish? I'll come to you, Prof. I'll come to you, Prof.
Land ownership is not nice.
Let him finish, please. We need to be orderly.
People who don't have land cannot come and take land from ethnic society communities that have land.
Okay.
So it is ethnic based. Land is ethnic based matter.
Okay. All right. Prof, please hold on. No. Please. You are the secretary to Presidential Livestock Reform Implementation Committee, and then you're here on this program to hear all the concerns. You've heard from Mr. Luka Biniat. You've also heard from Dr. Andaka about their concerns. Now, my question to you is, how do you plan to implement this project? Considering in mind that former President Buhari tried with the rural grazing project, and it failed because of same concerns that we're hearing and getting from the Middle Belt and some. Even then, it wasn't even all about the Middle Belt; it was all over. So, how do you think is the best way to address this issue about the concerns raised by him and by Dr. Andaka?
My surprise is that when we had a conversation in October 2025 to look at all the issues, including participants from Benue, everybody were in that conversation. The community of the largest producers of pig were in that conversation in the presidential villa. And everybody came and we have open discussion. But my amazement is that I'm hearing a new thing about ethnicizing a livestock production. I think is Nigeria, when we're forging unity and an understanding, I think we should go beyond, sentiments that would further exacerbate conflict instead of solving them.
Okay.
Because what I'm hearing now is news. Because I'm not aware that some of these actions that the federal government has come up with, that we have moved from state to state to have conversation on this matter, we have never had about
Prof,
this.
let me come in, Prof. But wouldn't you also agree that if you're starting a pilot project of this magnitude and of this project of ranching, it's better started in areas that you have specialists, that you have people that are majorly into this business or into this way of life? Isn't it better? Because that is actually what the concerns are. We also heard from the Vox Pop about people talking about it, that, okay, this project is about cattle rearing. Why don't we start from places where there are major activity, the major, how do I put it now, business is cattle rearing, because that is it. Okay, if at all, is it possible for us to also have some states from Northeast, Northwest join in this pilot project rather than
Kaduna State is part of it, Adamawa State is part of it. So what are you talking about?
Southern Kaduna is Middle Belt.
I'm not aware. Look, you cannot remove the map of Nigeria.
No, you are talking of North Central. I'm talking of Middle Belt.
No, there is nothing like Middle Belt as far as I'm concerned.
No, that is for you. We are not here to.
Okay, let him answer my question. Let him answer my question. Let him answer my question. I'm just saying, if this pilot, because of all these concerns raised, is it also possible for you to go back to your committee and say, oh, these are the concerns raised by the Middle Belt, raised by Benue State, raised by Plateau State, and some other Middle Belt states? Is it possible for us to also have a consideration?
Plateau have gone to court. They have gone to court to challenge it.
Hold on. They are not in this conversation. They are not present in the studio. They are not present in the studio, but they've also raised concerns. So what I'm saying is it also better to, just as Benue has rightly said that the state government has not been consulted, is it also possible to consult with this state so as to have a proper agreement on the way forward on this policy?
Yes.
And this project.
I'm not, my postulations are not based on sentiment. One of my PhD students just defended a PhD recently and a doctorate at the University of Ibadan. And topic for our PhD was grievances redress mechanisms in conflict mitigation, in farmer herders conflicts.
For lack of time.
So I'm just telling you that we have a compendium.
Yes.
We have a compendium across the North Central states that are involved in this study on the issues of how to mitigate this type of conflict. And I'm talking to you now. I'm telling you is scientifically proven that sentiment and emotion cannot solve this problem.
No, that's not what
it is based on professional.
Yes, but we are talking about the way out.
So the Minister of Livestock will operationalize this and come up with a further conversation or enlightenment about
How do you operationalize something that is already a concern to the people? Are you saying that their concerns are not welcome?
Maybe those who are expressing it have not been properly briefed. So he will have opportunity to engage them. I cannot speak for him, but I can tell you from the policy reforms, from all the documentation we have gathered, and from all the engagement we have had, it has been wholesome and acceptable, and we are coming with best practices across the world. What has happened in many countries, including Kenya, Rwanda, those countries that have list of our potentials have moved on, but we are still dilly-dallying
Nigeria
on
is
this.
peculiar. Nigeria is a peculiar. Better for the concerns to be brought to fore, and for there to be an arrangement, an agreement, consultation for the project to be well executed.
That's right.
You would agree with me?
That's right.
And that's the program, Democracy Today Extra. I've been speaking to Professor Yaya Kuta, Secretary, Presidential Livestock Reforms Implementation Committee, is from the federal government. We've been speaking also to Dr. Ondoka Asambe, DG, Benue State Bureau of Livestock Development. He's on the side of the Benue State government. Thanks for joining us on Democracy Today Extra. And also with me in the studio, we've been speaking to Luca Biniat, Secretary, Middle Belt Forum. Thank you, sir, for coming to the studios.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's the program, Democracy Today Extra. We had it hot this night, but not to worry. We'll be back tomorrow with more interesting topic and subjects. Indeed, we've been talking about endless search for peace in the cattle grazing headache in the country. I'm Hadiza Aldu. Good night and take care.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, AIT_live, and AIT Livestream 1 on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, online.
The issues as they break. The multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
It's a serious threat to democracy.
And our governments seem to be incapable of protecting
the scheming.
This is not a period we should slip by and go. Every part of this country is important.
The intrigue.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection.
I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe it, but for that reason, politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time.
Hello and thank you for joining us on Nigeria Today. I am Shola Jai Simeon. You're welcome. Now, the Nigerian Immigration Service, that's the Osun State Command, has arrested 55 undocumented foreign nationals from Cameroon and Congo during an operation across parts of the state. The Comptroller of Immigration in Osun State, Akinyemi Morakinyo, said the exercise, which covered different locations in Osun State, targeted suspected illegal migrants violating Nigeria's immigration laws.
Addressing journalists shortly after parading the migrants, the Osun Controller of Immigration, Akinyemi Morakinyo, said the arrest followed intelligence available to the command, noting that the migrants came in through an unauthorized route. Akinyemi said through intelligence gathering, the command were able to locate their residents and brought them to command headquarters with the directive from the service headquarters through the Controller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service.
They are irregular migrants that were arrested and brought to the office for repatriation. Because they are here, they are not documented, they came in through unauthorized route, and they have overpassed their stay. We check all of them, we discover that they don't have any traveling document, even ordinary passport they don't have. And they are here doing this illegal online business that is not registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. And so people like that, they, before you know, they start going to criminality. Do you understand? And we don't want them to have a negative influence upon the Nigerians that are here, upon Nigerians. So that's the main reason why they should be out of the country.
One of the migrants, Ismail Mohammed from Cameroon, said during an interview that he arrived in Osun in February 2026 after being invited by a lady living in Chad to do online business in the States.
Yes, at some point for someone who invite me around online, invite me and show me the project and show me how, if I send it, I will have my commission. So that he invite me here in Nigeria and coming here and stay here and started to do network marketing.
Akinyemi said some of the immigrants had taken up accommodation in Odede community, adding that the command was still on the lookout for others who might be hiding across the states. Olatunde Olajide, AIT News, Osogbo.
And Olatunji joins us from Osogbo to share more about this arrest done by the Nigerian Immigration Service of illegal migrants. Thank you for joining me, Olatunji. So, what else besides this? You can unmute.
This one is.
Yeah, you can unmute. So, what else besides this arrest? And
So
how
I'm
far?
here because personally,
Go on.
I've been a farm here.
Okay, it does seem that we're having some connection challenges there with our correspondent. Now, the Niger State Police Command has confirmed that terrorists operating in the forest area in Borgu have abducted an unspecified number of worshippers from a mosque in Masakan, Sabungida, and other neighboring villages in that local government area of Niger State. The village head of Kada, who was recently released from captivity, is said to be among those who have been abducted again, as well as a 90-year-old father of the district head of the Kara. Confirming the incident, the police spokesperson, that Superintendent Wasiu Abiodun, disclosed that on the 21st of August, that's just yesterday, terrorists invaded Gidan Zana, Kenya village via the Kara district of Burgu, and at a mosque they abducted the unspecified number of persons who were having their prayers, while some others escaped into a nearby forest. However, this development report indicated that no lives were lost during the attack by the terrorists, while a joint security detachment has been deployed to the area for assessment and rescue operations. According to the witness accounts, the mass abduction occurred immediately after the conclusion of Friday prayers at the Central Mosque in that community. The General Officer commanding the 3rd Division of the Nigerian Army, Major General Maxwell Dangana, says the Army Division remains a formidable fighting force in the ongoing efforts to tackle insecurity in its area of operation and across the country. The GOC said this at the closing ceremony of this year's 3rd Division Inter-Brigade Combat Proficiency Competition held at the 33 Artillery Brigade in Bauchi, Northwest Nigeria.
The week-long 3-division inter-brigade combat proficiency competition climaxed with various combat activities, including obstacle crossing, weapons handling, combat swimming, and tug of war. The competition brought together personnel from 6 brigades designed to strengthen courage, discipline, teamwork, and professional excellence among personnel.
These are the hallmarks of a
Declaring the competition clause, the GOC 3 Division, Major General Maxwell Dangana, charged the participants to apply the knowledge and skills acquired during the exercise in tackling contemporary security challenges,
ranging from terrorism and insurgency to banditry and emerging transnational threats. The 3rd Division Nigerian Army remains a formidable fighting force, and this competition has proven it.
The commander of 33 Artillery Brigade, Brigadier General Saidu Shehu, said the inter-brigade competition was not merely a contest, but a vital training exercise designed to shaping the tactical and technical capabilities of the Nigerian Army personnel.
Our asymmetric threat, counterinsurgency operations, and internal security challenges have demanded our constant readiness. This competition ensures that we remain professionally sound, physically fit, and mentally prepared to answer the call of duty at any time.
Trophies and medals were presented to outstanding participants and teams at the end of the competition, with a call on the personnel to take the lessons learned back to their various units and make the standards achieved during the exercise a benchmark for their daily training. Suleiman Issa, AIT News Pouch.
The Taraba State Governor Abu Kefas has launched the disbursement of a 500 million naira grant to over 200 youths to support the establishment and expansion of small and medium enterprises. Justifying the grants, the governor said he believes in the Nigerian youth and remains passionate about their development to secure the future.
The disbursement of a 500 million naira grant by the Taraba State government to over 200 beneficiaries will see each beneficiary receive a sum of 500,000 naira. The target is to boost small and medium enterprises in the state. The initiative is implemented under the Taraba State Youth Development Agency, and its first phase was launched by Governor Agbukefas at the T.Y. Danjuma House in Jalingo. Governor Agbukefas encouraged youths in the state to remain steadfast in self-development despite the distractions in their phase of life. He reassured of his commitment to developing young people, which started long before he became a governor, adding that his passion and faith in the Nigerian youth has not changed.
What we'll continue to do is to make sure that our young people find a space in life. Where they are now cannot take them anywhere and cannot even make us happy. So that when we are leaving this world, we'll be living happily. That we left people that will continue to live in Lagos.
Nigeria's Minister of Youth Development, Ayodele Olawande, commended the Taraba State government, urging other subnationals to emulate the act as it complements the federal government's effort on youth empowerment. The chairman of the Taraba State Youth Development Agency, Garanonga, assured of the agency's commitment to the success of the empowerment program.
It is a lack of support to turn our ideas into business. Many young people have the ideas. In fact, I've never seen anywhere in the world that we have young people like Nigerians young people.
For the beneficiaries, this is not just a financial support. It is an opportunity to start up something meaningful, expand an existing business, or turn an idea into a source of livelihood.
Our work does not end at the disbursement today. We stand ready to work with you, offering technical guidance, helping you to strengthen your operations, and opening markets both within and outside Nigeria.
Governor Agbukefas was also presented with an award as an emancipator of the youths by the agency, and the Minister of Youth also received an award. The event also featured the unveiling of a youth development roadmap for the years 2026 to 2031. Lamini Chuye, AIT News, Jalingo.
To Cross River State, where the government, in collaboration with the federal authorities, have commenced the distribution of 20,000 bags of free fertilizer to 8,000 farmers across the state. This intervention is aimed at reducing production costs and increasing food output. But the real test will be whether the support delivers on the results on the farms. AIT's Inemisit Ifiok reports from Calabar.
For farmers, the cost of getting a harvest from the farm begins long before the first crop is planted. From seeds to fertilizer and other inputs, rising costs have continued to put pressure on smallholder farmers and the amount of land they can afford to cultivate.
The challenge that I used to face is the cost of the fertilizer, and to get it in the market is very, very expensive. At times you go today, they will say it's 45 per bag. You go tomorrow, they will say it's 48. Now it's 50,000 naira. It's very, very expensive.
It is against this backdrop that 20,000 bags of fertilizer are being distributed to 8,000 farmers across the 18 local government areas of Cross River State. The program is being implemented in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, with the government saying the objective is to reduce farmers' input burden and strengthen food production.
In recognition of the high cost of inputs, and in order to support productivity and production, the federal government decided to subsidize for farmers the input cost of procuring fertilizers.
But for the government, distribution is only the starting point. The expected return is higher productivity, more crops from the farms, improved earnings for farmers, and ultimately, greater food availability. And the federal government says the outcome of this exercise could influence the state access to further agricultural support.
Success of this also determines the next phase. This is just the first. Second one is also coming. And as much as we are able to get impactful results, I can guarantee you that we will be coming back again to do same in Cross Rivers.
That makes accountability at the point of distribution just as important as the intervention itself.
Our firm is strictly going to monitor the distribution of these fertilizers from beginning to the end. We'll make sure that it gets to the thick and crannies of every local government in Cross River State.
For the All Farmers Association of Nigeria, support with farm input is critical to keeping farmers productive, particularly at a time when production costs are putting pressure on agricultural activities.
So the farmers of Cross River State are assuring government that what we are receiving today and in the days to come will be used accordingly for the purpose of growing Cross River State.
But the big question will be answered in the fields, whether the fertilizer improves yields, raises farmers' incomes, and contribute to increased food production. In Emeset Ifiok, AIT News, Calabar.
You're watching Nigeria Today. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll have more for you.
Stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT, on air, online, online.
You're welcome back. Now let's go to Benue State, where Governor Hyacinth Alia has sworn in 7 newly confirmed commissioners alongside key statutory board appointees in a bid to accelerate his administration's development agenda. Beyond the cabinet restructuring, Governor Alia also addressed rising public anxiety over the controversial national ranching policy, reassuring the citizens that his administration remains people-oriented and will not support any mandate forced against the collective will of Benue State.
The old banquet hall at the government house in Makurdi was filled to capacity today, as political leaders, government functionaries, and well-wishers gathered for the inauguration. 7 commissioners recently screened and cleared by the State House of Assembly officially took their oath of office, signaling a targeted effort to boost institutional capacity across key state ministries. Addressing the gathering, Governor Hyacinth Alia framed the cabinet rejig as a critical step in revitalizing public service, emphasizing that appointments were strictly performance-driven. He charged the new cabinet members to maintain a direct connection with the grassroots.
You understand fully the weight of the responsibility you are assuming. I assure you that we will not disappoint you.
I want to assure you that we do just that. He has given us the task and responsibility. I think he's coming back 207 is rest assured.
Swearing-in ceremony extended beyond the cabinet. Governor Alia also administered oath of office to a new member of the Benue State Assembly Service Commission, as well as the chairman, secretary and board members of the Benue Television, tasking them to drive innovation and modernize state broadcast media. Seizing the national spotlight, Governor Alia directly addressed lingering friction surrounding the national ranching proposal.
If we don't want cows, meaning if the people of the state do not want the ranching of cows here, the federal government is not forcing the state to have cow ranching. So I think the people need to understand that. You need to calm down. Those who feel very agitated must calm down.
The governor emphasized that measurable impact and responsive governance will remain the primary benchmarks for assessing the performance of the newly inaugurated Executive Council. Rofan Aga, AIT News.
Now to Asaba, where the Delta State government has dismissed claims by A former deputy president of the Senate, who is from Delta, Ovie Omo Agege, that his life and that of his family are under threat. The Commissioner for Public Information, Charles Aniagu, while reacting to the allegations made by the former senator before journalists, described the claims as cheap publicity aimed at attracting sympathy.
How do you, on the first day of your kickstarting your campaign, the first thing you are doing is to begin to look for a way to create tension and then elicit sympathy? And you are saying that somebody wants to eliminate you. Eliminate you for what? Even if you were contesting against him, like you did in 2023, he squared up with you, defeated you fair and square. And at that time, the man was relying largely on his personality and the credibility that he has on the street to defeat you. Now, that credibility has manifested in his performance. It has now become visible that the people now know that yes, Sheriff can walk. Why will he leave his lane and then begin to look for you? More importantly, when you are not on the same ballot.
Let's get back to one of our top stories, the one from Cross River about farmers. We have joining us the Commissioner for Agriculture and Irrigation Development in Cross River State. That's Mr. Johnson Eboko Jr. Thank you, Commissioner, for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I was actually on the field and I was told that I needed to join this interview.
Oh,
we were not in the city center. We came to inspect one of our projects here in Akankwa local government.
Oh, good. And we would have loved to have seen the action on the field because this is
I was struggling to get network, so I had to come to somewhere close to the village square to get network.
Okay, so you're on the field, you're getting the job done. You know, kudos to you and your team there. So let's get into all of this with regards to, the agri sector in Cross River State. The funding for the sector, how has it helped the work that yourself as a political head of the Agriculture Ministry, is doing?
Sorry, I seem to be losing you. Okay, I didn't get the question.
Okay, I said, how has the funding, the appropriation for the sector, agriculture and irrigation in Cross River State, help the job that you're doing?
Okay, well, comparatively, over the years, this administration has done the highest appropriation for agriculture. And basically, what we are trying to do is to design those fundamental policy initiatives that would help us catalyze the agricultural sector. If you don't start from point A, you cannot get to point B. Some of these fundamental policy initiatives have not been in place, and so we are trying to put them together. Part of why I came here is because of a land development program. If you do not, develop land, it's difficult for us to deal with the issues of food security. So we are dealing with some of these things fundamentally, so that we have a bouquet of agricultural options, from whether it is livestock to crop production. And even within crop production, we don't just want to be a tree crop economy. We also want to be an arable crop economy. This administration has introduced arable crops like soybean and maize. Today we are commercial growers of these commodities, including cowpea for nutritional and economic purposes.
Okay, so we know that the Cross River State government is trying its best for its farmers. We wish you luck in the agriculture and irrigation sector, Honorable Commissioner.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us from the field.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now let's get back to issues of security. The police in Nigeria's 7 northwestern states have agreed on a more coordinated and aggressive intelligence-led response to terrorism and banditry in the region. This, they say, will improve taking operations into criminal enclaves and strengthening ties with traditional and religious leaders. The resolutions followed a 2-day regional summit in Gusau, the Zamfara state capital.
For more than a decade, banditry has devastated communities across Nigeria Northwest, killing residents, forcing families out from their homes, and disrupting livelihood. After 2 days of deliberation in Gusau, police commanders and other security stakeholders says the response must now become more coordinated, intelligence-driven, and proactive. The summit brought together Inspector General of Police Olatunji Disu, Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawan, commissioners of police from 7 Northwest states, traditional and religious leaders, and other stakeholders. At the center of the discussions was how to move security operatives beyond reacting to attacks towards disrupting criminal networks and taking the fight into banditry enclaves. Zamfara State Commissioner of Police Ahmed Bello presented the resolution.
Our resolutions are as follows. They need to carry out coordinated operations, which is to be carried out simultaneously across the Northwest. The need for police to take the lead during the state operation and to be supported by the military, to incorporate traditional institutional and religious leaders in the operation from the onset. Swift response to this stress call, to take the fight to the enclave of the bandit. Governors of the 7 states, Northwest State, to take ownership of the operation.
The communique places intelligence sharing and joint operation among the priorities, alongside stronger engagement with communities, traditional rulers, and religious leaders whose local knowledge could support early warning and crime prevention. For Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawan, however, the test will not be the resolution reached in Gusau, but what happened after the summit. Lawan pledged continued government support for security agencies as authorities seek to restore stability in Zamfara and across wider region.
To hold you accountable for everything that happens. Yes. Having heard from all the experts, a combination of ideas from different people, I think it's high time we move away from rhetorics. Let us go through implementation of everything that we discussed. Being a leader of a state.
Now joining us is the governor. You saw him there, Dauda Lawan. It's his media aide on broadcast media. That is Mustafa Jafaru Kaura. Thank you, Mr. Jafaru Kaura, for coming on the program, Zamfara and its security challenges. Quickly, I just want to go down memory lane. As a young boy, I remember if I get into the airport, there we see young girls going to FGDC Gusau, a peaceful place. But Zamfara State now, insecurity is the challenge. What are you doing with the team?
Yes, thank you very much, AIT, for having me on this afternoon regarding the security summit organized by the Nigerian Police Force in Gusau, the Zamfara State capital. First and foremost, let me commend the effort and foresight, the charismatic foresight of the police management team in Nigeria now, for deeming it fit and necessary to organize this type of very important and all-important and all-encompassing summit in Gusau, the Zamfara State capital, considering that Zamfara is the epic center of banditry in Northwest. So therefore, this type of summit is timely. Number one. Number two, the police have come up with about 18-point resolutions that when fully put in place, I believe it will go a long way in combating the menace of banditry and other social vices in not only in Zamfara, but the entire northwestern part of the country, and by extension the entire country. You see, when you combat the menace of banditry in Zamfara, you have gone more than 50% of eliminating the menace of banditry
in the entire northwestern part of this region. So the 2-day event in Gusau has come up with a lot of far-reaching resolutions that the governors, on behalf of the 7 governors of the Northwest, led by my own governor, Dr. Dauda Lawal, have now agreed to take, the full ownership of this summit and the 18-point resolutions to them, so that they will now become the pioneers. They will lead the operations by taking the fight to the enclaves of the bandit by the use of, technology and whatsoever. So I believe we have to commend the Nigerian police force for doing so, and I believe in the couple of days to come, we will see a lot of changes dramatically on this issue of fighting insecurity, considering the commitment of Governor Dr. Dauda Lawal and other 6 state governors of the Northwest.
Okay, we have to thank you, Mr. Mustafa Jafaru Kaura, the Senior Special Assistant on Broadcast Media to Governor Dauda Lawal. Thank you for your perspectives. And it's on that note we wrap up today's edition of Nigeria Today. I am Shola Jaisimi. Thank you for watching.
Hello, thanks for joining us. This is Environment Today on Africa Independent Television, and this is a program where we x-ray environmental and public health issues which confront you and I daily, and we also seek experts' opinion on how best they can be addressed. My name is Nkoli Omodu, your regular host on the show. As usual, I'll be your guide throughout the program, but first, I'll take you around the world where we get environment stories and, of course, public health issues which trended in the last 1 week. I'll be right back after that. As the sun rises daily, our environment changes. Shall we say human, technology, or our negligence towards the environment caused us a lot of global warming, degradation, or pollution? I'm Nkoli Omodu, journalist, global environmental analyst, and host of Environment Today on AIT. Join me in the environment capital of discussion in Nigeria, Africa, and the world on what is happening in our society, how we can improve our environment culture. I speak to newsmakers, environmentalists, activists, and game changers. The bold moves, big issues, solution topics is all right here. Make Environment Today on AIT your weekly watch.
We all want to do our best to win for our team. But right now, we're losing to the illegal trade in wildlife. Illegal bushmeat is on sale in our cities, risking extinction and our health. We've become a centre for ivory and pangolin smuggling. and many of our iconic species are threatened with extinction. So please report wildlife crime and say no to illegal bushmeat. And let's work together to win for Nigeria. Keep them wild, keep us safe.
President Emmanuel Macron said fire-hit areas in the Var region of southern France would get the same financial aid as similarly affected parts of the country's southwest. Earlier, the Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu announced 12 million euros for the southwest. Lecornu later said the total cost of the state for providing the aid could top 100 million euros, including temporary cuts to taxes and social security payments. A wildfire burning for days in a nature reserve in France's northern coastal part, the Collier region, is now under control, according to the top official for the area. The fire ran across around 190 hectares of vegetation on dunes in Mount Saint-Freix before being stopped on Friday. One home was destroyed, but there was no casualties. Authorities in Spain's northeastern Aragon region said they were optimistic in the fight against a huge fire that has razed more than 70,000 hectares over the past week. Officials directing the battle against the blaze said the major part of the fire has been stabilized and two historic monasteries threatened by the flame are now not thought to be in danger. Belgium's biggest wildfire in a century, which has devastated some 3,000 hectares of the High Fence Nature Reserve, halted short of the German border. But officials warned the blaze was not yet contained and could still spread further. French Prime Minister was heckled by around 200 people dressed in black as he visited a village in the Gordon region where 183 homes burned down. Some residents alleged authorities prioritized fighting fires in the upscale Cap Ferret Peninsula, where many affluent Parisians take holidays over protecting the homes of locals. Germany's defense ministry said the two military water-bombing helicopters would be sent to Belgium. The German town of Monaco, close to the border, ordered nearly 30 people living in two streets near the frontier to evacuate. The fire service said two fires on the Greek island of Salamis near Athens that claimed 2 lives and led to the evacuation of nearly 600 people on boats have been largely extinguished. The fires broke out Sunday near packed beaches on the island just west of Athens that is popularly with day trippers. Though the Civil Protection Agency issued evacuation orders, the fire department said the fire spread in just 7 minutes, owing to strong winds, trapping an elderly couple near their home.
7 of the deaths were recorded in the mountain resort city of Baguio, where a rain-soaked hillside collapsed onto 3 houses. 3 people remain missing while rescuers continue to search under difficult conditions because of the continuing rain and the risk of further landslides. Weather officials say Baguio recorded more than 1,400 millimeters of rain between August 1st and 9th. That is significantly higher than the city's normal rainfall for the entire month of August. Parts of Metro Manila also recorded rainfall equivalent to around 90% of the normal monthly total. Other deaths across Luzon were linked to landslides, drowning, fallen trees and electrocution. Although floodwaters have started to recede in some areas, authorities say the situation remains dangerous with heavy rain continuing in parts of the country. The flooding has also renewed concerns about the Philippines' long-standing problems with flood management. Public Works Secretary Vince Dizon says years of faulty or inadequate flood control projects have made communities more vulnerable to extreme weather. The Philippines is one of the world's most disaster-prone countries, facing an average of about 20 storms and typhoons each year. Scientists say climate change is making extreme rainfall events more frequent, longer lasting and more intense, increasing the risk faced by communities across the archipelago.
The fire has already destroyed about 900 hectares of the national park, while thick smoke from other fires is spreading across communities and even into neighboring Malaysia. Authorities are warning of difficult conditions ahead as Indonesia braces for an unusual intense dry season. About 200 firefighters, forest rangers, police officers, and soldiers are working to contain the flames at Bromo. Supported by 3 waterbombing helicopters and fire trucks, the national park, one of Indonesia's major tourist attractions, has been closed to visitors since Saturday as crews battle to bring the fire under control. Authorities say the blaze is part of a wider wildfire problem affecting the country. More than 107,000 hectares of land have already been burnt across Indonesia this year, while more than 48,000 personnel have been deployed to fight fires in 6 provinces. The government has also deployed aircraft for cloud seeding in an effort to encourage rainfall where conditions allow. The fires have also created serious air quality problems. In Pontianak, on the island of Borneo, schools have been closed for a second day because of heavy haze, with children learning from home until air quality improves. The smoke has crossed into Malaysia, where authorities recorded unhealthy air pollution levels in parts of Sarawak and advised residents to remain indoors. The agency recorded an average temperature of 27 degrees Celsius in July, above the normal average of 26.2 degrees. Officials say they are closely monitoring the situation as firefighters continue efforts to prevent the flames from spreading and reigniting.
Driven by a passion to catch them young as leaders of tomorrow, the Eco-Explorer Bootcamp brought together 160 children for lessons on how to mitigate climate change and ensure environmental sustainability.
Everybody has a role to play in protecting the environment. We should not just leave it to the adults, we should also involve our children, because the habit that they cultivate from now will stick with them for life. And the things that we are trying to forcefully teach adults on environmental responsibility will be easier if we start from this tender age. We recognize them as change makers today, not just future leaders of tomorrow. And that's why we have brought them here, not just to just teach them, but also to make them to do it, to do practical, so that it can stick and they can go back home and replicate everything that they have learned here today. So then they've learned gardening, they've learned how to upcycle, just basic things, maybe like water bottles, plastic spoons, and other things, even fabric, how they can make use of waste fabric so that it doesn't become waste. They are also doing painting around environmental pictures so that it will stick. They're also doing their, we also have some mini quiz among themselves, competition, just to make them to be hands-on and fully involved from the beginning of the program to the end of the program.
I learned about the environment, about recycling waste, using it for other useful things like pencil case, toothbrush case, and other things. When about the environment, I should keep the environment clean and healthy so that there will not be pollution. When I put dried ice into a bottle and putting it inside warm water and put food coloring, 2 drops of food coloring, and put the balloon on the mouth of the bottle, and the things blew up. And that's what thinks about carbon dioxide gas.
So Lagos State is always at the forefront in Nigeria. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. The little drops of environmental activism that they are planting, the seeds they are planting in these kids now, I'm very sure it will germinate into, these are going to be the leaders of tomorrow. So definitely we are going to have a city like, environmentally conscious like Singapore and the like. So I know from what they are doing, these kids are really going to make that happen.
We know that the environment is of importance to us. It's God's gift to mankind. And when you teach them things about the environment, it sticks to them, and it wants them to be more aware of their surrounding, their environment, how they can explore the environment, how they can add value and meaning to the environment, and how it can also affect their life as they are growing up to becoming adults. So it's actually a very good initiative.
The 2026 edition of the program, hosted by the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, LASEPA, is the second in its series.
For most of our history, humans lived in harmony with nature.
But we have shared in the balance, exploiting our planet for product and wealth.
Creating a climate catastrophe, driving species to extinction, and polluting our land, sea, and air.
The sight is clear. Time is running out.
We must go from harming our planet to healing it. We must protect what we have and bring back what we have lost to have more sustainable future where everyone
can survive, because there is only one Earth, and so we must protect it.
There's a massive desertification that's just coming in.
If you keep eating pangolin, you will not even see pangolin, and that means at the end of the day we'll end up telling our children to see open storybooks.
Join Nkoli Modu every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. on Environment Reports. One of the major challenges to grassroots development, according to stakeholders at the maiden World Press Conference of the Youths on Ground Progressive and Mentorship Initiative in Abuja, is the gap between government policies and the communities they are designed to serve. They note that programs targeting food security, job creation, youth development, and national unity often face challenges of implementation and visibility at the grassroots. The Youths on Ground Progressive and Mentorship Initiative says it is seeking to bridge this gap by moving young people from the margins of political participation to the center of nation building.
Nigeria's median age sits below 18 years. The demographic is either our greatest asset or our greatest risk. 10 million positive-minded youths united by structure, mentorship, and shared purpose represent a force capable of stabilizing our democracy and driving economic revival.
The group says it plans to work with governments at all levels to ensure that people-oriented policies and development programs reach communities and produce tangible benefits for young Nigerians. Beyond government collaboration, participants called for greater involvement of the private sector and development partners to strengthen grassroots mobilization in leadership development and skills acquisition.
What we came here to do today is to inform the world, inform the government of our impact, and request that they use Youth on Ground as that vehicle to ensure that the grassroots begins to feel the impact of the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President.
As it prepares for nationwide mobilization, the initiative, which focuses on mentorship, skills development, and community peace building, says greater investment in young people and their inclusion in decision making will strengthen governance and also create opportunities for youths to contribute meaningfully to national development.
You are found guilty as a corrupt person. You are
At a time when misinformation and disinformation are increasingly influencing public discourse, stakeholders at the 4th Economic Confidential Lecture and 6th National Spokesperson's Recognition in Abuja are examining the role of effective communication in addressing some of Nigeria's most pressing development challenges. The rise of citizens' journalism has made the creation and distribution of information easier than ever. This, however, makes the role of professional communicators even more important, particularly in ensuring that information is properly researched, verified and presented in line with established ethical standards.
I think this is important for us to understand that it's a gathering where we are celebrating PR professionals who are doing exceptionally well and who are doing their work professionally to the ethical standards of the work.
Speaking on the theme, anti-corruption reforms, economic stability, and effective communication, the chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, Musa Aliyu, said the fight against corruption must go beyond government institutions to build anti-corruption values in individuals, families, schools, and communities.
In 2024, we recovered over 24 billion ghost workers' pension. The tax before this room we are living now. It's not only to fight corruption, all of us, but to tell the truth about it well.
Rather unfortunate that corruption is becoming a culture. We thought that we have bamboozled the young ones, that they are clobbered into silence, but now they are asking questions, and I believe that that is the way to go.
As Nigeria continues its battle against corruption, participants here believe that responsible communication, public awareness, and sustained anti-corruption campaigns can help shape a culture where citizens are confident enough to ask questions, demand transparency, and hold leaders accountable.
Hello, we're welcoming you to our social media platform for more information about our program, Environment Today. On Facebook, you can reach us on Environment Today. On YouTube, subscribe, like, and share every of our episodes on Environment Today. Instagram, it is Environment Today. On Twitter, call your /Environment Today. And on WhatsApp, you can reach us on +234 8033 356 388. Catch up and do interact with us, and don't miss any of our environmental issues. Like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.
Some people say animals don't laugh, or perhaps we don't give them a reason to. Our unique species of gorilla are only found in a small forest between Nigeria and Cameroon. With only 300 left in the wild, we cannot afford to lose even more. Traps and snares used in catching bushmeat often kills or injures gorillas too, driving them to extinction. And that, you agree, is no laughing matter. So say no to illegal bushmeat from endangered animals. Keep them wild and keep us safe.
And well, up next is our feedback segment, and this is where you get to hear your views and comments regarding the program. And don't forget to hook up with us on all our social media handles displaying on your screen. It's always a pleasure to hear from you. You can also send us an SMS via our WhatsApp number displaying on your screen. After that, we'll bring your environment quotes for this week. Okay, so this is where we'll be wrapping up Environment Today for this week. Thank you so much for being a part of it. We'll be back here again same time next week with a fresh package. But until then, please remember that environment is life. So do your bit, I'll do mine so we can preserve it. From everyone on the Environment Today crew, here's wishing you the very best. My name is Nkoli Omodu. Bye for now.
Therefore, armyworm has caused devastating crop losses across Africa since it arrived in 2016 in Malawi at Lilongwe University of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Biotechnology research scientist Kingdom Kwapata is leading studies into varieties of maize whose genes have been modified to resist the pest. Such engineered crops are considered genetically modified organisms or GMOs.
We needed a solution because our farmers are suffering. Our main purpose and aim for the research is to establish whether the gene that confers resistance against fall armyworms and other lepidopteran insects is effective.
The trials are expected to take about 5 years. They are conducted in a fenced and confined maize field 500 meters away from any traditional crop to avoid possible contamination with the traditional varieties. In the meantime, lawmakers, traditional leaders, and farmers have visited the trial site to observe its progress. Some farmers are excited about the trial, which is in its first year.
This will solve the problems of lack of money to buy pesticides to kill fall armyworms, which have affected my maize harvest for many years. And I am now a happy farmer because these trials are providing solutions to the problem.
Another subsistence farmer, Esther Ganjawala, is skeptical about the technology. She notes that replacing local maize varieties with high-yielding hybrids has created new troubles.
These new varieties are not good at all. You can't harvest anything without applying fertilizers, and they are easily attacked by pests. That's why there is growing poverty. But with our local varieties, we can harvest even without applying fertilizers.
Researcher Kwapata says genetically modified crops have been introduced safely elsewhere, including the United States, Brazil, and Argentina. But many in Malawi are concerned about possible health and environmental impacts.
So even though the target is to make sure the stalk borer doesn't attack the maize or the armyworms, but actually the introduction of this GMO will affect other beneficial insects such as bees and other birds. So that is something that we don't want. We don't want to disturb that cycle.
Ghania also fears that once introduced to farmers, the GMO maize would keep other local crops from growing. Kwapata says there is no evidence that would happen, but he acknowledges that people are concerned.
There's a lot of skepticism. There's a lot of political anxiety. But in the final analysis, as researchers, we are saying that the nation needs to give us a chance to do the research diligently, independently, without due influence.
Kwapata says the researchers will present results of the trials only to government authorities so they can decide whether the GMO maize should be introduced in Malawi. Lamek Masina, VOA News, Lilongwe, Malawi.
Police in 7 northwest states of Nigeria take pragmatic steps to curtail the activities of bandits. And 19 Ilaje communities warn of impending intercommunal clash in coastal oil producing areas of Ondo State. 55 illegal migrants paraded in Osun. This is the News Hour on AIT. I am Shola Chaisimi and you're welcome. Let's begin the news with a report that police in 7 northwest states have taken pragmatic steps to curtail the activities of bandits. But we'll open our bulletin with a report that the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Wike, says he does not need a position in the All Progressives Congress, the APC, to mobilize support for President Bola Tinubu's re-election, insisting that the Rainbow Coalition that backed Tinubu in 2023 remains united ahead of next January's presidential election. Speaking after inspecting ongoing projects in Abuja, the FCT minister urged voters and supporters of the president to focus on winning states and local governments, maintaining that electoral success is determined at the grassroots and not by campaign titles.
The FCT minister's remarks come just hours after the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, unveiled members of its presidential campaign council for the 2027 election. Speaking after inspecting ongoing infrastructure projects in Abuja, Wike reiterated that although he's not a member of the APC, his support for President Bola Tinubu is not tied to any position in the party's campaign structure.
I don't want to lose my state. I will be in my state. I have 2 states, FCT and Rivers State. What's important is, are you able to deliver those 2 states? So it's not about being DG. If you're a DG, you don't win your state. What's the essence of the DG? So everything matters about states. It's not about being a member of the campaign council. Every politics is local. If you cannot deliver president in your state, so how will you say you won election?
He argued that the Tinubu administration's infrastructure drive, particularly across the FCT, would be its strongest campaign message ahead of 2027, highlighting the ongoing Apo-Karshi Road project and the dualization of the Buhari-Kubwa access road.
The residents of Apo-Karshi were jubilant that all they have been crying for, and this government has come to their aid. The company has said November, and I'm not going to be surprised. You have seen the level of work that SCC has done. It's for the people here to also do their own part by appreciating Mr. President of not just making promises, but making promises and fulfilling those promises.
Wike also disclosed that at least 10 major projects are expected to be completed and commissioned before the 2027 general election. Chukwuebuka Nwodo, AIT News, Abuja.
Yeah, campaigns for the 2027 general elections have already begun, with political parties warming up towards these elections. Nigerians are expectant to see whether the campaigns are issue-based or mere rhetoric. In this special report, our correspondent Enemaku Ojochegbe examined some of the issues that should form the basis for the campaigns, the role of traditional institutions and religious leaders in the democratic process.
According to the 2027 election timetable released by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), political parties are allowed to commence their campaigns and other electioneering activities from August 19, 2026. This is also in tandem with the Electoral Act 2026, which stipulates that campaigns may not commence earlier than 150 days to polling day. Political development watchers are, however, skeptical about the quality of the content of campaigns. Rather than canvassing for votes, being molded on issues affecting the people and the programs that provide the dividends of democracy, political rallies have been characterized in showmanship, hate speech, and character assassination in the past.
INEC and the relevant agencies of government need to be active and need to monitor the various activities as well as speeches of candidates, their supporters, their sympathizers, and political parties as we prepare for the 2027 general elections.
The Peace and Reconciliation Commission, as we are all aware, is an aggregation of national elders and religious clerics who we expect that what comes from them is supposed to have a moderating impact on our collective and individual conscience. So it is my belief that the efforts of that body goes a long way in assuaging a relative and moderate approach to political tension.
This is crystal clear that insecurity, poor infrastructure, economic instability should form the basis for the campaigns ahead of the 2027 general elections. How has the present administration handled these key issues, and what difference is the opposition proposing? These are the pertinent engagements that Nigerians demand as campaigns take off.
For which campaign speaks to alleviating their living standard, which campaign speaks to solving the challenges that are in the country, for instance, security issues.
Nigerians are expecting messages of reconciliation, messages of peace, messages of hope, messages of that will drive progress and allow each individual to make Nigeria start from the Nigerian dream.
Traditional rulers and religious leaders also have a big role in holding those in power and potential leaders accountable in their campaign promises. What is the essence of a traditional leader or a religious leader with followership without any recourse to the livelihood of their followers?
In churches, preach peace and harmonious electoral activities. In the mosques, the same thing. Community leaders, royal fathers, at every given opportunity, let the message be, as we go into this election, let's focus on the issues and not attacks on the persons.
In summation, the electorate holds the aces. Their votes should be reserved for those who can articulate inherent problems of the country and how these anomalies can be corrected. Campaigns should address these issues, hence Nigeria's democracy is on the path of growth. Enemaku Ojochegbe, AIT News, Abuja.
The Young Progressives Party, the YPP, has begun the process for the substitution of its presidential and vice presidential candidates for next year's election with the emergence of a former Labour Party presidential aspirant, Peter Agada, as the new candidate. He was formally affirmed at a presidential and vice presidential substitution primary election held in Abuja. AIT's Anayoyo Ogbagioge reports that issues might arise from this development as the erstwhile presidential candidate Anita Zugwai-Chukwu was conspicuously absent at the event.
Section 29 of the 2026 Electoral Act gives room for substitution of candidates with the proviso that it can only come into effect in the case of death or withdrawal of the original candidate. Questions are being raised if the original candidate of YPP, Anita Zugwai Chukwu, withdrew from the race, or is the YPP opening itself up for another unending drama? For now, a new candidate in the person of Peter Agada and Patience Ndidiki, a United States-based entrepreneur and healthcare professional, as Agada's running mates have emerged. Agada says the ticket is bringing practical solutions to national problems.
It is very easy for good architects or architects to design very fantastic looking buildings. So when you go to the university and you learn computer-aided designs, you can design very beautiful things. You are very good. Go to universities, 100 level, 200 level, fine designs, right? But there is one thing that differentiates the boys from the men. It is called structures. The structure is the brain, is the how. How your things sound. What I and YPP are bringing to the table is the how Nigeria can change.
Aisha Mohammed is the Deputy National Chairman of the party. She describes the substitution affirmation process as a defining moment for the party.
Yes, sir. We are gathered to affirm our refined readiness to offer Nigeria a credible, competent, inclusive, forward-looking political alternative, a party prepared for the future. The Young Progressive Party represents more than an electoral platform. Our responsibility is to build political institutions where young Nigerians can dream, women can lead.
The Young Progressive Party vision tends to build an egalitarian society anchored on Nigerian citizens as the prime resource. AIT News.
I'm still talking about politicking, but this time the admonition is coming from the Commissioner of Police in the FCT Command, Ahmed Sanusi, who has appealed to youths to not to allow themselves to be used as instruments of political thuggery or other criminal activities capable of disrupting the peace and security of society. He made the appeal during the commemoration of the 2026 National Youth Day.
Sanusi said the country needs the positive energy and creativity of its youth to build a better society and secure a brighter future for all.
Your future is bigger than a moment of pleasure. FCT needs your prayer. Nigeria needs your prayer. Not your fist. Nigeria needs your products, not your problem. Let's build instead of break. Let's rise instead of worry.
He said the Federal Capital Territory needs citizens who value peace and respect the rule of law.
Real respect is when people trust you to keep peace, not cause troubles. If you have anger, channel it. Go to the gym. Learn a skill. Start a business. Lead your community.
The traditional ruler of Gerki, His Royal Highness Usman Ngakupi, and the wife of the Commissioner of Police FCT Command, also used the occasion to call on parents to support and guide young people towards achieving their goals in life.
Dear father, I want to advise you, we don't want any politician to use you. You take hard drugs and start and go and dress up yourself. You lose your life or you have a problem with some health challenges. Please, this time around we should be able to know that we are not in digital period.
As parents and leaders, let us continue to listen to our youth, encourage them and give them the support they need to overcome their challenges.
The event brought together stakeholders, youths, parents and traditional rulers to educate young people on the importance of living a life of honesty, integrity and responsibility. Has Akudi, AIT News, Abuja.
And now to our story, the first one on our headline, where the police in Nigeria's northwestern states have agreed on a more coordinated and aggressive intelligence-led response to banditry. This, they say, will involve taking operations into criminal enclaves and strengthening ties with traditional and religious institutions. The resolutions follow the two-day regional security summit held in Gusau, the Zamfara state capital.
For more than a decade, banditry has devastated communities across Nigeria Northwest, killing residents, forcing families out from their homes, and disrupting livelihood. After 2 days of deliberation in Gusau, police commanders and other security stakeholders says the response must now become more coordinated, intelligence-driven, and proactive. The summit brought together Inspector General of Police Olatunji Disu, Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal, Commissioners of Police from 7 Northwest states, traditional and religious leaders, and other stakeholders. At the center of the discussions was how to move security operatives beyond reacting to attacks towards disrupting criminal networks and taking the fight into banditry enclaves. Zamfara State Commissioner of Police Ahmed Bello presented the resolution.
Our resolutions are as follows. The need to carry out coordinated operations, which is to be carried out simultaneously across the Northwest. The need for police to take the lead during the safe operation and to be supported by the military, to incorporate traditional institutions and religious leaders in the operations from the onset. Swift response to this stress call, to take the fight to the enclaves of the bandit. Governors of the 7 states, Northwest State, to take ownership of the operation.
The communique places intelligence sharing and joint operation among the priorities, alongside stronger engagement with communities, traditional rulers, and religious leaders whose local knowledge could support early warning and crime prevention. For Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal, however, the test will not be the resolution reached in Gusau, but what happened after the summit. Lawal pledged continued government support for security agencies as authorities seek to restore stability in Zamfara and across wider region.
To hold you accountable for everything that happens. Yes, having heard from all the experts, a combination of ideas from different people, I think it's high time we move away from rhetorics. Let us go through implementation of everything that we discuss. Being a leader of a state that is facing this challenge, you can imagine how I sleep on a daily basis, hearing my people being killed for one reason or another. And the most painful thing is to understand the rationale.
For communities that have endured years of attacks, abduction, and displacement, the expectations are clear. The resolutions have been met. The challenge now is turning into security on ground. Jamina Yusuf, AIT News, Gusau.
Now, stay with security issues. An unspecified number of worshippers have been kidnapped from a mosque during Friday prayers in Gidanzana, Masaka, Sabongida, and other neighboring communities of Bogu local government area of Niger State. The police public relations officer in Niger State, Abiodun Wasiu, said those abducted include the recently released village head of Kada, as well as a 90-year-old father of the district head of Dekar. In a statement by the police spokesperson, that's Wasiu Abiodun, he said suspected terrorists had invaded some communities, and at that mosque, they abducted those persons who were praying while some others escaped into the nearby forest. According to the witness account, the mass abduction occurred immediately after the conclusion of weekly Friday prayers at the Central Mosque in the Dekara community. A joint security detachment has been deployed to the area for assessment and rescue operations, according to the statement. The security challenges facing Nigeria require continuous high-level training and retraining of security personnel to effectively tackle rising insurgency and other forms of criminality across the country. This was the key takeaway from the 2026 Combat Proficiency Competition organized by the Nigerian Army's headquarters garrison here in Abuja.
For 14 days, the troops participated in intensive exercises, including map reading and navigation, weapons handling, a 15-kilometer compound run, combat swimming, and obstacle crossing. The competition showcased their professional development and mastering of the skills acquired to tackle the country's growing security challenges. The Nigerian Army says the competition is designed to build a more professional and combat-ready force capable of responding effectively to the nation's evolving security threats.
The security challenges facing our nation require that we maintain a high level of preparedness at all times. Training must therefore remain continuous, purposeful, and aligned with operational realities. This is also consistent with the command philosophy of the Chief of Army Staff, which is to advance the transformation of the Nigerian Army into a more professional, adaptable, combat-ready, and resilient force capable of decisively discharging its responsibilities within a joint and multi-agency environment.
Army authorities insist the competition is a practical training tool that serves as a vital backup for personnel during tactical operations in the field.
The timing for this competition could not have been more apt, considering the multiplicity of operations which the Nigerian Army is currently prosecuting across the length and breadth of our beloved country. Furthermore, the ongoing transformation and expansion drive of the Nigerian Army necessitates the continuous training and capacity building of all personnel in order to ensure mission success at all levels.
Participants were rewarded based on their performances and encouraged to apply the knowledge and skills acquired in both kinetic and non-kinetic operations across their various theaters of operation. Has Akudi, AIT News, Abuja.
The Osun State Commander of the Nigerian Immigration Service has arrested 55 undocumented foreign nationals from Cameroon and Congo in series of operations across the state. The comptroller in charge of the command, Moraki Akiyemi, said the exercise, which covered different locations across Osun State, targeted suspected illegal immigrants who have violated the country's laws.
Addressing journalists shortly after parading the migrants, the Osun Controller of Immigration, Akiyemi Morakiyo, said the arrest followed intelligence available to the command, noting that the migrants came in through an unauthorized route. Akiyemi said through intelligence gathering, the command were able to locate their residents and brought them to command headquarters with the directive from the service headquarters through the Controller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service.
They are irregular immigrants that were arrested and brought to the office for repatriation. Because they are here, they are not documented, they came in through unauthorized route, and they have overpassed their stay. We check all of them, we discover that they don't have any traveling document, even ordinary passport they don't have. And they are here doing this illegal online business that is not registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. And so people like that, they, before you know, they start going into criminality. Do you understand? And we don't want them to have a negative influence upon the Nigerians that are here, upon Nigerians. So that's the main reason why they should be out of the country.
One of the migrants, Ismail Mohammed from Cameroon, said during an interview that he arrived in Osun in February 2026 after being invited by a lady living in Chad to do online business in the States.
Yes, at some point for someone to invite me around online, invite me and show me the project and show me how, if I send it, I will have my commission, so that he invite me here in Nigeria and come in here and stay here and started to do network marketing.
Akiyemi said some of the immigrants had taken up accommodation in Odede community, adding that the command was still on the lookout for others who might be hiding across the state. Olatunde Olajide, AIT News, Osogbo.
Now more reports that we have for you, but that will be after business news. Yes, the Naira closed the week stronger against the United States dollar at the official markets, gaining 1 Naira 13 kobo to trade at 1,346 Naira 49 kobo to a US dollar. That's according to data from the Central Bank of Nigeria, which shows that the Naira appreciated by 0.08% from Thursday's rate of 1,347 Naira 62 kobo. The currency remained relatively stable during the week, recording only 1 day of depreciation. It opened Monday at 1,349 Naira 53 kobo to the dollar and gained further on Tuesday before a marginal loss on Wednesday. The Naira recovered on Thursday with a gain of 2 Naira 79 kobo and strengthened further on Friday, closing the week at 1,346 Naira 49 kobo to the US dollar. The Nigerian exchange ended the week on a bearish note, with investors recording no broad-based positive performances as the market's key indicators declined amidst sustained selling pressure. The NGX All-Share Index fell by 1.3% to close at 239,351.16 basis points, while market capitalization dropped by 1.33% to 154.5 trillion naira.
Trading activity weakened compared with last week as volume, value, and deals all declined. Investors traded 6.242 billion shares worth 157.764 billion naira in 186,496 deals against 12.153 billion shares valued at 176.058 billion naira in 224,146 deals last week. The financial service industry led trading with 5.594 billion shares worth 56.431 billion naira, accounting for 89.62% of total volume. ICT followed with 143.704 million shares valued at 29.793 billion naira, while service recorded 138.672 million shares worth 1.751 billion naira. Fortis Global Insurance, Lasaco Assurance, and Consolidated Allmark Holdings accounted for 4.168 billion shares, representing 66.77% of total turnover volume. The NGX All-Share Index fell 1.35% to 239,351.16 basis points, while market capitalization dropped 1.33% to 154.534 trillion naira. The Consumer Goods Index was the only gainer, rising marginally by 0.05%, while the sovereign bond index closed flat. Market depth remained weak. Only 18 equities gained compared with 26 last week, while 59 declined and 70 remained unchanged overall. The market recorded no broad-based positive performance during the week, reflecting weaker investors' appetite. Landry Babalola, AIT News, Abuja.
And that's it on business news. Now let's go to some of the stories. Now, residents of the 19 coastal and oil-producing communities in a larger local government area of Ondo State have appealed to the federal government and the Ondo State government to urgently intervene in an alleged land dispute involving neighboring Ishekiri communities in Delta State with a view to preventing an intercommunal clash. They say the development is creating tension and could threaten the long-standing peaceful relations between the two ethnic communities.
For generations, residents of these coastal communities have lived and worked around the creeks of Ubo Kingdom in the larger local government area of Ondo State. But today, fear is growing over what they describe as alleged incursions by armed persons from neighboring Shekiri community.
We have been together for a long time, and they know, like for more than 200 years. So this Ebiwa community is existing.
The residents say the disputed area known as Odu Ebiwajumi is part of their ancestral land and belongs to Ondo State. They linked the growing interest in the area to its proximity to the Atlantic Ocean and offshore oil activities.
From the left here, we are exposed to the Atlantic Ocean, where the shipment of many things can be happening, and the oil rig offshore is established here. And on this ground that we stand, As I'm telling you, there's good diet underneath. I think it is the economic advantage of it is what they are pursuing. That's the reason why they invaded this. Their interest upon this land is because of the quantity of the oil in our area. That is why they so much so interested in the above listed community.
Community leaders are now calling for urgent dialogue between the governments of Ondo and Delta State, as well as areas from both sides, to resolve the dispute peacefully.
We should invest more in peace than anything that will cause crisis.
I am standing as the community leader here. We cannot concede our ancestral land to the Shakiris. For the residents, the concern is not just about the land. It is about protecting their livelihoods, preserving their ancestral heritage, and preventing disputes from escalating into another communal conflict. Olushola Adeshinyo, AIT News, Ilaje.
The presidential candidate of the People's Redemption Party, the PRP, Donald Duke, says that the current debate on fuel subsidy is the situation of a poorly managed fuel subsidy and economic policies, which he says must stop. In a statement issued on Saturday in Abuja, Duke, who is a former governor of Cross River State, called for the review of what he has described as key anti-people policies. According to him, the fuel subsidy scam, which preceded the Tinubu administration, has been replaced by a poorly managed option which makes money for the government but impoverishes citizens and the economy. Donald Duke said the nation must move beyond debates and adopt well-informed and strategically designed options to the current economic policies to address growth and alleviate poverty. The Delta State government has dismissed claims by a former deputy president of the Senate, Ovie Omo Agege, alleging that his life and that of his family is under threat. The Commissioner for Public Information in Delta State, Charles Aniagowa, reacting to these allegations in a conversation with journalists in Asaba, described Ovie Omo Agege's claims as cheap publicity aimed at attracting sympathy.
How do you, on the first day of your starting your campaign, the first thing you are doing is to begin to look for a way to create tension and then elicit sympathy, and you are saying that somebody wants to eliminate you. Eliminate you for what? Even if you were contesting against him, like you did in 2023, he squared up with you, defeated you fair and square. And at that time, the man was relying largely on his personality and the credibility that he has on the street to defeat you. Now, that credibility has manifested in his performance. It has now become visible that the people now know that yes, Sheriff can walk. Why will he leave his lane and then begin to look for you? Most importantly, when you are not on the same ballot.
Aniagu also advised the former Deputy Senate President to focus on his campaign and disease form acts he says are capable of creating tension.
We will not be distracted by stories that are completely at variance with reality, particularly coming from somebody who is not even on the same ballot with the governor. Neither are we going to descend into that arena.
Information said Ovie Omo Agege, who is the NDC Central Cantora candidate for next year's elections, had alleged on his Facebook page that the Delta State governor, like you heard Aniagu say, should be held responsible if any harm is done to him or his family when he begins his campaigns. In a significant milestone for Nigeria's healthcare sector, the Imo State government has achieved a breakthrough with the successful completion of robot-assisted surgeries at the newly established Imo Robotics and Oncology Center. The state government says the initiative is aimed at expanding access to advanced medical care, particularly in the treatment and prevention of prostate cancer. Governor Hope Uzodinma, while expressing delight on the development, says the technology will provide seamless access to prostate surgery and help in the fight against cancer and other diseases.
We are able to bring this technology handy at home to be able to treat our people, deliver them from being victims of this monster called cancer. So it is not only a treatment center, it's also going to give us a direction for prevention.
The success rate of robotic surgery for cancer, especially for prostate cancer, is phenomenal. I mean, you cure the prostate cancer when they are localized, and you're also able to, importantly, spare the functions of the patient. And if by function I mean one, erection. Most patients are young.
Now let's take you to Calabar, where a fire outbreak at a popular mall has left shop owners counting their losses as the flames tore through sections of the popular commercial complex. Emergency responders battled to contain the inferno. Traders and workers scrambled to rescue whatever they could, while security operatives moved in to prevent any form of looting.
For hours, this was the scene at the Spa Calabar Mall. Thick smoke rising into the sky, flames consuming parts of the complex, and desperate shop owners trying to salvage their goods. Some watch helplessly as years of investment went up in flames.
I am a victim, oh, I am a victim. Yesterday night, before I left, my bulb blew and we saw smoke, and I called the maintenance team. They came and switched something off, and they said they will do something this morning. On our tenants platform, people started complaining that their shops were having fluctuation of light, and I equally dropped my own. That our shop, we don't know what is happening. Only for me to be called from the church this morning, the fire entered the mall.
The immediate priority was survival, getting people out and saving whatever could still be saved. But for many of the traders, the fire meant more than damaged shops. It meant lost businesses and livelihoods. As firefighters worked to bring the blaze under control, questions were already being raised about the state's emergency response capacity. The commander of the Cross River State Fire Service says the state has 3 fire trucks, but 2 are currently out of service.
We are still battling, and coupled with the tender that we brought, we have short of water now, so we want to go out for refilling. But what I am trying to do now, I am trying to reach out to other sister agencies.
And while the fire service battled with limited equipment, the Federal Fire Service eventually joined the operation. For the police, the challenge was not only the fire. Officers were deployed to secure the premises and prevent the chaos from turning into an opportunity for looting.
No, this is a disaster, and we need to do something about it. That's why I'm here myself, to see what is happening and measure the security forces to prevent looting.
The state government says it is already moving to assess the damage and determine the appropriate response.
So we are going to do our due diligence as regards assessment and enumeration of all that has happened, and intervention will come.
Government officials also described the incident as a major blow to one of Calabar's key commercial hubs, while urging caution and greater attention to fire safety.
Apparently, I think this was avoidable if there was a timely action from the management. We understand this came up from a power surge within the electrical system in the mall.
And I think the fire service too, they have to be alert. They must be prepared. They came here, they said there's no diesel. In fact, there's no way. They had to go. They had to go and reinforce and come back.
It's very heartbreaking, very devastating and troubling.
For now, the full value of goods and property destroyed is yet to be established. In Emesot Ifiok, AIT News, Calabar.
Now let's bring you some news, entertainment. We'll start from Cape Town, where a regional court has adjourned the Nigerian-South African model and beauty queen Chidinma Adesina's deportation trial to February next year. And Nigerian music stars Burna Boy and Tems have made the 2026 MTV Video Music Awards nomination list. Anu Awujobi has this package.
I believe that I have been treated unfairly
and targeted, and there has been an attempt to make me as an example.
Have you been following the deportation legal battle being faced by Nigerian South African model and beauty queen Chidinma Adesina since 2024? Well, the 25-year-old Miss Universe Nigeria 2024 queen, who was born in Soweto, South Africa, is challenging a decision by the South African authorities, which declared her a prohibited person in the country. Chidinma has maintained she has been unfairly singled out for deportation by the authorities. When the trial came up in the course of the week at the Cape Town Regional Court, Chidinma said she followed the legal process to establish her citizenship. Her citizenship has been under scrutiny since 2024 when she emerged a finalist in the Miss South Africa Beauty Pageant. The case has been adjourned to February 2027.
We should all be guided by the spirit of Ubuntu. Throughout this ordeal, I have availed myself of all appropriate legal recourse, and I'll continue to respect and abide by each process.
And nominees for the 2026 MTV Video Music Awards have been unveiled, and leading this year's list is US singer-songwriter and music producer Madonna with 11 nods apiece. The 68-year-old legendary superstar who stole the show at the first MTV Video Music Awards held in 1984 has been nominated in the Video of the Year category, Song of the Year, Artist of the Year, among other categories. American singer-songwriter Taylor Swift followed with 9 nominations. And Trust, Nigerian multi-award winning superstars Burna Boy and Thames also secured nominations. The Grammy Award winner Burna Boy received 2 nominations in the Best Collaboration category for his collaboration with Colombian music star Shakira on the official 2026 FIFA World Cup song Die Die, and in the Best Latin Song category. While Thames was nominated in the Best R&B category for a collaboration with British rapper Dave on the song Rain Dance. That's my package for you on the entertainment and lifestyle segment. I am Anu Awojabi.
Okay, there, entertainment. Now let's bring you this one about the roads. The special marshals of Zuba Command in the FCT of the FRSC says it plans to deepen collaboration with the NDLEA, that's the Anti-Narcotics Agency, as part of efforts to tackle driving under the influence and reduce road crashes across the territory. The command made this known during a monthly national patrol, an exercise carried out simultaneously by special marshals across the country, all with a view to promoting road safety and awareness.
In the FCT, the Zuba Command focused on major causes of road crashes, including overspeeding, overloading, reckless driving, and driving under the influence of alcohol.
We come here with every sense of responsibility. We come here and then operate with every matured civility in ensuring that vehicles that need to be arrested are arrested, and of course public enlightenments are given to them. Our interest is not to book them. Booking is the last option. That is when we give them ticket. But what we do is that when we sit them down, we talk to them, we speak to their conscience, we address them and make them see reasons why they should live for their family, why they should stay alive. These are the things we are doing, basically trying to talk to the conscience of the drivers on what we call public enlightenment.
The collaboration with the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency is expected to complement the existing partnership with the Federal Road Safety Corps, particularly in identifying risky driving behaviors and promoting compliance with road safety standards. The Special Marshal says the objective is not simply to penalize offenders, but to prevent crashes through continuous public enlightenment and early intervention.
Up next is sports now. Let's talk about what Nigeria has done. She has secured a historic qualification for the women's beach volleyball event at the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. And this was after Esther Mba and Pamela Bauer emerged champions of the 2026 African Beach Volleyball Championship held in Alexandria, Egypt. The pair defeated their opponents from Morocco in straight sets, 21-8, 21-10 in the championship final. That victory has delivered Nigeria's first ever Olympic qualification in volleyball and ended a frustrating run of near misses at the continental level. The achievement was welcomed by the Nigerian Volleyball Federation and its president, Musa Nimrod, describing this qualification as a victory for the entire country and praised the players, coaches, and media for their contributions to the success. Nigeria had previously finished runners-up at the African Beach Volleyball Championship on 3 occasions, but each of these qualifications and campaigns ended without an Olympic ticket. Mba and Bauer have now ended that sequence. The football now, the English Premiership, where Manchester United suffered a shocking 2-0 defeat to newly promoted Hull City in their opening league game on Saturday. Nigerian international Semi Ajayi was instrumental in the victory. He scored in the 17th minute as the newly promoted Tigers stunned Manchester United at their own stadium. Talking about stadium of the Hull City. The Manchester United struggled for rhythm and cohesion, with Michael Carrick's side looking very disjointed and failing to create any clear-cut chances. This defeat is a wake-up call for United, no doubt, while Hull City have begun their Premier League campaign on a memorable victory. And in other games, Everton defeated Crystal Palace 2-0, newly promoted Ipswich Town beat Sunderland 2-1, while Leeds United edged Nottingham Forest 1-0. And that's it on the News Hour. I am Shola Jaisimi. Thank you so much for watching.
This week on Healthy Living, we unpack the root causes and impact of phobias and how some people in Malawi with fears like claustrophobia and aerophobia do not receive adequate mental health support. We also look at Nigeria's urgent need for blood donations and what is being done to address this problem. We'll have these stories and more in this edition of Healthy Living. Hello, I'm Linoch Mudu. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Healthy Living. Many feel uncomfortable with heights, in small spaces, or when encountering snakes. But then there are those who suffer from extreme fear when they find themselves in such uncomfortable surroundings or conditions. Experts call them phobias, a type of anxiety disorders. A phobia is a persistent and extreme fear of certain objects or situations that trigger intense distress and panic attacks. Common types of phobias include arachnophobia, fear of spiders, claustrophobia, fear of confined spaces, and aerophobia, fear of planes or flying. These fears are overpowering and sometimes can prevent individuals from participating in everyday activities or enjoying social interactions. The causes of phobias are unknown, but experts say, among other things, they can be related to bad experiences. We start in Malawi, where health resources for addressing phobias are limited, leaving many without support. Reporter Chimwemwe Padata has this story from the capital, Lilongwe.
For a long time, 19-year-old Alice Williams has been struggling with acrophobia, a condition that makes her extremely fearful of heights. She explains how it impacts her life and well-being.
I'm afraid of heights. Every time I'm climbing something, I'm just so afraid I'm going to fall down. And it's always like I'm seeing things moving. So yeah, I'm really afraid of that. Like when I'm climbing stairs, actually I've never tried because I already know I'm afraid of heights. So like when I'm climbing stairs or just somewhere high and then I look down, I'm just so afraid of that.
The 2-year-old Doreen Gama does not want to disclose her real name. Also suffers from phobia. She started experiencing a fear of snakes at the age of 7.
I saw a lot of animals, but the snake was like still on my mind. I could dream about it, dream about snakes coming to me, chasing me. So I think I really don't like seeing snakes.
Experts say phobias can be diagnosed and often treated with a combination of medication and psychotherapy. Sadly, Doreen is not aware of any psychosocial services in her city.
I think we just feel maybe it will go away on its own, but I have never seen anything like to get away from phobia or to help somebody with phobia. I think it's just the person getting rid of the phobia by himself or herself, not like somebody helping the person.
The Malawi Health Sector Strategy Plan lists several non-communicable diseases, NCDs, that need attention. However, health activists are concerned that phobia is not included.
That's why phobia needs a lot of advocacy and a lot of awareness to decision makers, policy makers, those who make decisions at the highest level. Because we have people at the highest level who are phobic to so many things, and those at the lower level. But the question is, how do we make sure we manage this as a medical disorder?
Adla Chokoto is a psychosocial counselor who treats people suffering from all types of phobias. She says it is unfortunate that the condition is so common and yet overlooked.
With phobias, the best treatment would be through therapy, because what you want to do in therapy, specifically what we call cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a type of therapy where we basically break down that fear into our thoughts and the behavior, but also the emotion. So I think the best treatment for that might be working around therapy.
Researchers say while not all phobias need to be treated, therapies are available to help people control their fears. Chimwemwe Banata, VOA News, Lilongwe, Malawi.
Now, what is your biggest phobia and how does it affect your daily life? What did you do to overcome it? Here are some reactions from Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire.
Moi, personnellement, je suis claustrophobe.
Personally, I'm claustrophobic. I fear very confined spaces, and I admit that I could never imagine myself being in a well. I wouldn't know how to handle it, or sometimes even in prolonged corridors. I even have trouble going down narrow, long corridors.
I would say the phobia of a plane crash. I have air sickness. My heart rate always speeds up. That's how it manifests.
In the past, I experienced some phobia related to public speaking. It was something that stressed me out, especially being watched by others. I kept questioning myself about what I was going to say, and it frightened me. Over time, I managed to overcome this by going along with it.
Personally, I try to work on my fear by going through confined spaces. Sometimes when I'm alone, I try to go through narrow spaces to see how I will react. I manage to do it, but it's very difficult. I only do it when the corridor I need to pass through is very short.
I managed to overcome the phobia in two ways. First off, by flying more often, which created a habit and helped with turbulence. The second way is by praying. I tell myself that if God allows us to go up, He can allow us to come down.
I used to have a phobia of earthworms. Now I relativize it a bit, so it's okay. I was able to overcome it over time by observing people who approach earthworms without fear. Through experience and observation, I managed to do it.
In school, we held positions of responsibility, so we were required to speak in public. These experiences didn't help in quickly overcoming this phobia.
In terms of socialization, certain things you're told or certain situations can create phobias. For example, fear of the dark. People are often told about the dangers of darkness in their social interactions. You will see that these individuals will develop a fear of the dark. However, some people have phobias of certain things on a personal level and cannot explain it.
Claustrophobia, for example, could be considered innate. Some people naturally can't tolerate staying in a closed place.